Hey everyone, this is Tara. Welcome to a loop to Thru. Oh, fudge. Hey everyone, today is Thursday, February 25th, 2021. I'm Tara. This is a loop through a loop. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today. We're going to go through everything I made with love for the month of February. So what I'm going to start with is just what I'm wearing, which is not a sweater that I made. But I'm sure some lovely person somewhere did. This is a sweater that I got on clearance from the Gap a couple of years ago. And when I did my sweater clean out, this was one that I just had to keep because of all the fun colors in it. And spring is so close to coming, and I just wanted something happy and cheerful, and it's got these cute puff sleeves, and it's kind of like a bold, I don't want to say obnoxious, but kind of obnoxious stripes that I love it. I love this. And these stripes are also down at the bottom for the body of the sweater. So this is one of those store-bought sweaters that I was not going to get rid of. Even though, like, if I close my eyes, my dream closet is full of things that I have made, but I still love some things that I bought at the store. And it also proves as like good inspiration. If I like the fit of this sweater, then I can lay it out. And as I'm working on a sweater, compare what I'm making with what I've purchased and love. So anyway, enough of that. That's what I'm wearing, an old Gap sweater. Let's see. We'll first dive into FOs. And the way the format is set up for this episode for this month is I just recorded at the end of each week what I made. So check it out.
For the first week of February, I have 4 finished objects in front of me. So the first thing that I finished is the 4 corners blanket. It's all finished. It's all ready to go, ready for baby. It is knit in Yarn Bee Blended Bliss. And I used colors that represent the characters in DuckTales. So we have Huey, Dewey, and Louie with the green, red, and blue. And they're ducks, so the cream color. This yarn is a cotton blend, so it's machine washable and dryable. The baby can slobber on it, spit up on it, have accidents on it, and it's okay because this can be washed up. And it's squishy. It's got a really good drape to it, and it has a good weight to it as well. So I think this will be good to either just snuggle up and get comfy in, or it'd be good for like going out on a walk or nap time or stuff like that. So there is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is a hat, and I love how this turned out. So I used my stitch dictionary, my Japanese stitch dictionary by Hitomi Shida, and I really liked the cabling pattern for this, and so what I want to do is I want to put the stitch pattern into a sweater, but I kind of wanted to see what stitches were involved, and so I decided to make a hat, and that's why I called it Odette's Audition, because I want to make a white sweater based off of Odette from Swan Lake. And so this is the stitches audition to see if it can go in that sweater, and I think it will. I'm super excited about it. This is knit, oh, I forgot to mention, this is the fingering weight blanket knit on US 3 needles. This hat was knit on US 5 needles, and it's like a worsted, DK worsted weight. And this is deep stash. Like, I bought this yarn to make a hat for my brother, in 2019, and I don't even remember what yarn it is. All I know is that it's a superwash wool, and that's kind of all I know. But so I was able to use up some of that. I did not put a pom-pom on this hat because a lot of times if I have on a hat, that also means that I want to put my hood up, and a pom-pom sometimes just gets in the way of that. So there's that. Got hat hair. Yeah, some kind of weird hair. Next up is this sweet little doll that I'm calling Blooming Magnolia. We have a little friend that just turned 2, and so I wanted to make her a little doll. This was crocheted with a size F hook. I love this cotton in taupe for the body, brown for the hair. I used embroidery floss for the flower in her eyes and mouth and her little laces, and also to tie on her little diaper. The nose, I used a puff stitch, and for her little ears, I used popcorn stitches. And the fabric is old scrap fabric that I've had for quite a while that I love, and I on purpose chose all 3 fabrics that have flowers on them since her name's Magnolia. I did use an existing pattern in order to create her body. I used a gingerbread man pattern because I liked the overall shape and size of that gingerbread man, and then obviously I just made it look like a little baby girl. And then, there we go, excuse me. And then I also crocheted a kind of like a wig cap for her hair, and then made her little bun. I think she turned out pretty good. I had to do the bangs twice. I did not care for how the bangs turned out the first time. So this was go-to. This is the first time I've ever made a little plushy doll like this. Like, I've made the chickens for my kids, but I've never made an actual doll. So this was the first go around. Anywhere I had to cut, I didn't really necessarily want to tie knots into anything, although I could have, and then I don't know how substantial those knots would have been, but I just used super glue on all the things that could possibly fall apart. So like her little shoelaces, I put dabs of super glue on them, so like the middle of it feels kind of rough and hard, but it's okay. And then she does have a little diaper on underneath her sweet little dress. And to make her dress, I just used a free graphic on how to make a pillowcase dress. And I used that same idea for her sweet little dress. I think her dress is actually my favorite part. And I don't know if the camera is really going to pick it up, but I did use gold thread around the hem at the bottom. So she's sweet. So I have to get her to Magnolia. That's the thing. So she will be with her friend very shortly. And then the last make of the week are a pair of mittens for my oldest daughter. The first time it snowed, we went and played out in the snow, and then so that was what, a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. And then we went to go play out the second time, and all of a sudden now we couldn't find her gloves and her headband and everything. So I used Tin Can Knits, World's Simplest Mitten pattern. I used a size 7 for the main fabric, a size 5 needle for the cuff. This yarn is Yarn Bee Color Ideal, I think is how it's pronounced. And it's 2 colors held together. It's the color Neon Watermelon and Magenta, so that it's marled. And my daughter loves pink and purple, and so this was kind of just perfect for her. And when I finished the first mitten, she goes, "Wow, I love it." And I thought I needed to hear that after having kind of a rough time. That was really sweet to hear her say how much she loved them. In fact, when I dropped her off at school today, the first thing she told the director when she was getting out of the car is, my mommy made me mittens. So I love hearing that. My kids are definitely knit worthy. So this yarn is a wool, acrylic, and nylon blend, if I am remembering correctly. And these really are the world's simplest mittens. These were perfect. It took me, this is kind of like a rough estimate of time, it takes me about 2 hours per mitten. So I had started mitten 1, this was mitten 1. I started this mitten in the evening after dinner time when we were kind of winding down, getting ready for bed. And then after my daughter fell asleep, I did mitten 2 so she could have them for school this morning. So there we go. And those are FOs for February week 1. For the second week of February, I had 2 projects that I really needed to get done because they are made for others. So the first one is another pair of Lumi socks that I made for my sister-in-law. This is now my 3rd pair, and it's still made from the same Knit Picks Simply Wool Bulky, made from 100% eco wool that the other 2 pairs of socks were made from. This is the medium size, and I did go down 1 needle size, and instead of the Latvian braid at the top, I just did a garter border, and I had a rough go of it with these socks. Typically, if I'm knitting the same pattern more than one time, it should become easier. And for whatever reason, I really struggled with this. I had to rip out the first sock and start again 4 times. So eventually, one night I just settled down, had a glass of wine, watched some Fred Astaire and Judy Garland, and made it through sock 1. And then in the morning, the next day, I was like, okay, sock 2, here I come. So I do like the denser fabric of this. I have not actually put them on my feet since they are not made for me. But I'm hoping to get these sent off in the mail and to Missouri here very soon once kind of our ice situation gets better. The second object that I just finished making is a hat for my son. So what I did is I took it's a Pearl Soho pattern. It's like a classic hat pattern, and it has 3 sizes. I think there's a baby, a child, and an adult size, and I just took the child size just so then I could have like a cast on number to use. And then from there I just kind of played around. So I cast on, did about 1.5 inches for the brim of the hat, and I just crocheted my cast on, which has slowly but surely starting to become one of my favorite ways to cast on, because then I feel like I have more control over how long my end is to weave in at the end. I don't know why I feel the shift towards that kind of cast on, like I'm drawn to that one more than the other ones. I don't know why. And then these stripes are with slipped stitches. So like you would knit 3, slip, knit 3, slip 1, knit 3, slip 1, and you just keep doing that, and you get this really cool stripe. So this will be for my son, because after I made my daughter's mittens, he looked at her mittens, and then he just kind of looked like, I don't have anything. And I was like, okay, it's time to make him a new hat, because the hat that I had made him earlier this winter is now too short. It doesn't really cover his ears. I used the blue yarn is the variegated yarn. That's how we're getting the light and dark tones. This is part of the Lion Brand's Ferris wheel, which I don't know if they make anymore. I don't know. This was left over from whenever I made my blue and gray version of Ghost Horses designed by Caitlin Hunter. I just had some blue. I had to order another skein so I could finish the last sleeve, and so then I practically have like a whole skein left over. So it's perfect for his hat because his favorite color is blue. And then this cream white yarn is Lion's Brand Wool Ease that I got handed down from my aunt. So what's great is that I was able to make this completely from the stash that I already have, and I have plenty of yarn left over that I can make. I could probably make a hat, another hat, and maybe some mittens too. The good thing is that I think this will be able to fit him for a while because I did try it on. Not that I'm gonna wear his hat because I already have hats of my own, but you know, when you want to check fit, and with kids, it's kind of just a pitfall because like they grow out of things so quickly. Let me cover my ears up. There we go. Oh, and I thought it was kind of fun, kind of different. I could still put a pom-pom on if I want to, but I feel like I've just, for me personally, learned a lesson with my daughter and my youngest daughter and her blanket when I put pom-poms on it and she ripped them to shreds, that I just don't know that I want to go through the trouble of a pom-pom, even though he's not gonna hurt it or anything. But I like the way it turned out. It's just a simple hat. And like I said, I just kind of played around. Like I wrote down notes of what I did. So I'll put those on my project page if you were curious about it. I did use a US 5 for the ribbing and then a US 8 for the rest of the hat. And I think that worked out okay. I think my cast on is a little loose, which is why it's a little floppy, but knowing that it was going over his head, I wanted it to have a little bit of wiggle room. So there is his hat, and it's perfect for this time of year where right now it's been snowy and icy, and so very wintry, and I feel like this hat kind of makes me think winter. So those are the things that I really needed to get done for this week. February week 3, I was mostly sewing, and so I have a few finished things to show you. The first are some burp cloths that I've made for my brothers-in-law and their soon-to-be baby. So my favorite burp cloths as a mom are the burp cloths made from a cloth diaper and then with some soft fabric on the front. This is a flannel, and I was looking through the on sale fabric at Hobby Lobby, and I found this flannel and I gasped because I thought, oh, that's perfect. So I knocked out 3 burp cloths to go with the baby blanket that I finished. So I'm super excited about those. And the great thing about a sewing project is that it's done so quick. Then the next 2 sewing projects I made were out of The School of Sewing by Shea Henderson. You can get this book on Amazon, and I know that it's also on the Pearl Soho website, and I'm sure it's other places too, but those are the 2 that I know I've seen it. This is a really good book if you're a beginner. She walks you through everything. She was a former math teacher, so she understands how to teach. She walks you through all the materials that you could possibly want. And she talks to you about kind of just like what everything means. And so from here, I started with project 1, which is the Speedy pillowcase. And so what I did is I had fabric left over from when I made my daughter's tree skirt at Christmas. Lots of fabric, actually. So, oh, it's quite large, isn't it? So I made her a pillowcase. How cute is that? And you use French seaming, so the inside is still nice and tidy. Don't look at the pillow inside, but the inside is nice and tidy. And I want to make more. What I am interested in trying is making one of these pillowcases and then putting something crochet on it, but I don't know. And I haven't thought about it too much to actually have like a well thought out plan. It's just kind of a, oh, that'd be nice, and then figure it out later. The second project that I made is, let me find it. Oh, I lost my place altogether. And I believe that's just her pillowcase pattern. She doesn't credit anyone else for it, but the bag that I made, it was originally designed by Jenny Baker. And so it's just a simple drawstring bag. And if you go online, Jenny Baker has a pattern on sale with this bag pattern in multiple sizes. And I almost bought it, but then I didn't because I don't need it right now, and the pattern will always be there. So once again, I dived into my stash fabric and just pulled out what I found. So it's mix and match. And yeah, it's a drawstring bag. So I think this will be perfect for the girls to put their like little princess stuff in. And then the inside has a different fabric. I just had fun. I just pulled out random pieces of fabric. This size for knitting friends would be probably pretty good for some socks. This would be a good sock size bag. Too bad I'm not really into knitting socks. Or a hat or mittens. I do like knitting those things. One day I might be converted into sock knitting. Today is not that day. So one thing I did finish up knitting is another hat. This time in this beautiful blue color. Oh, I love this. I have fallen in love with my Japanese Stitch Bible by Hitomi Shida. The hat pattern in there, I think, was my gateway into the rest of the patterns, because I was like, oh, I can do this. All I have to do is just knit one stitch at a time. And when I get to a stitch that I have no idea what I'm doing, I'll just focus on that one stitch and say, okay, what do I need to do for this one stitch? So this is a slow project. This is not a quick hat. This took me a few days to finish because I had to go row by row. And I used stitch fiddle that I heard about from Sari Nordland on her podcast that she uses to chart. So I used stitch fiddle to chart out the hat and how I wanted it to decrease at the top. And so now there we have it. And then the brim of the hat is a 3x1 twisted rib. And what I did is I actually knit 3 inches and then folded it under and cast off. So then it just looks nicer. Well, I think my own personal preference for hats is to have a folded brim or to use a tubular bind off. But since this was a 3x1 twisted rib, I knew a tubular bind off was just not going to work. And so folded brim it was. And I have decided, like when I was making this, I had the song So This Is Love from Cinderella playing in my mind. Like, I have fallen in love with this book and these stitches. Like, it's just my jam. So what I think I want to do is take these stitches that can look kind of very ornamental or traditional and play around with how to knit them up either in fun modern colors or knit a traditional timeless classic knitted piece and then pair it with fun modern other pieces of clothing just to make it more fun. I love this so much. So anyway, this was my latest thing that I finished for week 3.
Okay, so now let's get into works in progress. So I realized that in my last clip, I said that I would use that little bag for my daughter's toys, but right now I'm using it. But when I'm done and I have time to make another bag, this will be theirs. But I have been, like I have mentioned earlier, obsessed with my Japanese stitch pattern book. And so I've made 2 hats so far, and I have another hat in the works. So for each of the hats that I have finished, Odette's Audition and So This Is Love, I have been working on writing up a pattern, and hopefully I can get the ball rolling on that soon. But I am pretty particular about what I like and how I like it. Like my expectations for how I want things. I'm just kind of particular about how I like it. So it's not quite ready yet. Right now, I am working on a black hat that is the sister companion to Odette's hat. This is Odile. So this is Odette's Audition. This is going to be Odile's Deception. And it's kind of hard to show because I'm still working on it, but I'm hoping with the light you can see there are the stitch definition in it okay. And let's see if I can do this without. So the stitches are going to be very similar as far as like the generic shape that the cables and stitches form. So they both, like the center panel comes this generic shape where it comes out in an oval and goes back in with a small detail down the side. They both have those. The difference is going to be kind of just in the smaller details. I wanted Odile's hat to look very much like the Odette hat, but with just subtle differences, because in the ballet, Odile is trying to fool the prince and everyone else into thinking she is Odette. So it's an illusion. It is a deception. So I wanted them to look similar, but to be different in fine ways. So I'm still working on that. I'm hoping to have that done in the next few days. So then we'll go to, since we're just talking about things I'm working on for like designs and patterns, let's bust out Blue Christmas, which I've decided to change the name to Blue Without You, because then it kind of fits all the time, like no matter what situation, not just Christmas time. So I'm working on the fingering weight version. I have split for the sleeve, so I'm working on the front panel right now. or this is the back panel, and then I need to work on the front panel. So this is just a slow process, and to be honest, it's just a lot slower because I've been working on everything else that this kind of got pushed to the side. But I am excited about it, and I love the drape and the feel of it. I think it's going to turn out really great. I'm excited for it. I just need to work on it and just sit down and do some couple of inches and then go work on something else. So I've tried to, with my works in progress, tell myself to work on one work in progress, either decide, okay, today is the day I'm only going to work on this project, or I might decide, you know, in the morning when we're having breakfast and kind of just sitting around, I'm going to work on this project, and then at nap time I'm going to work on this project, and then at bedtime when everyone's asleep and I only have a little bit of knitting time, I'll work on this one. And my son is calling for me, and so I need to go see what he needs. I will say that if you hear something in the background and it sounds distressful, but I keep filming, it is because I know that he's actually not in any harm. Yes, Samuel, what do you need? Here he is. What do you need, Bubs? I told you. Every time. And we're back. So, like I was saying, Blue Christmas and working on all of my projects, kind of just taking the time to work on all of them little by little and then seeing progress. I just realized that for the hat that I'm working on, I didn't mention the yarn or the needle. I'm working on size US 5 needles, and the yarn is DK weight. It's Yarn B, must be merino in black. And I was having quite a bit of problems with the yarn splitting. And I've bought the yarn a couple of times because I really liked the colors, and it was just a yarn that was easy for me to find at this time, but I don't know that I'll buy it again. So there is that. Then another work in progress that I had last time that I want to show to you this time is my Something in the Air by Joji Locatelli. It would help if I showed it with the right side. So you can see where I've steamed it and then where I've been working on it. I have worked through one skein of Gabriella Makes yarn in DK in the colorway, I believe is Cider. So I've made it through skein 1, and then I'm going to work my way through skein 2, and when skein 2 is done, then I'm done. So this has been really nice. This is a project for me that lets me practice and learn a little bit more about lace, because lace is something that really trips my brain up. Like, I don't really have any problems with color work because it's like color by number when you knit the stitches. And cables, I just have to stop and think about which stitches go in front and which stitches go in back, and then I can kind of just figure it out so easy. But lace, and I think it's because of yarn overs and all the different kinds of increases and decreases and all that kind of stuff, that I get kind of tripped up on it, but I'm also new to it. So there's going to be a learning curve. I think that doing something pretty simple as this, I think this is pretty simple lace. And then also working on my hats have been really helpful. My last work in progress is blanket number 2 that I have started for my brothers-in-law, And this blanket's only going to be 2 different colors. And instead of going with the Pearl Soho triangle wrap, half and half triangles wrap, that my original plan was, I have shifted gears, and instead I'm going to continue with the 4 corners. Now I can't remember the name of the blanket. The 4 triangles? It's the exact same construction as the other baby blanket, except this time I'm using their Easy Puzzle blanket pattern, which basically it's the same exact construction, except this time we're changing up colors. And I decided to go ahead and just make a larger size. So I'm still only on triangle 1. This is knit on US 3 needles and a fingering weight yarn, and so this was going to take a while, but the great thing is that this is all just garter stitch. It feels really soft. I love the way that this feels, and this is a really good, like, chicken soup for the soul kind of knit. Like, I just really have enjoyed this. Since I have my other projects that require a little bit more like concentration, this is really nice to pull out when I just want to break and I just want to enjoy the repetitiveness, and like it's really relaxing. So those are all the works in progress. That hat should be done, and then I'll be down to 3. I don't know. I guess I had a little bit of the cast-on-itis problem, but that's okay. All right, moving on. We are going to look at acquisitions. So I did have, when I made Blooming Magnolia, I got a message from the designer on Ravelry saying she thought my doll was such a cute little idea for taking her gingerbread pattern and making it into a doll, and then she offered to gift me another one of her patterns. I thought that was incredibly generous and very thoughtful, and so I chose her Panda Bear pattern, and her name is Julia Kor, K-O-R. So thank you, Julia, and I can't wait to make little bears. It'll be so awesome. And I chose the Panda Bear because I can make all kinds of bears. I can make a panda bear, black bear, brown bear, Pooh Bear. I mean, so many things. You can't go wrong with a teddy. You just can't. So I don't have a picture of that pattern, so I'm so sorry, but it's called Plush Panda by Julia Kor. She's got a lot of really cute crochet patterns. So the next is also a gift that I got from my best friend back home for Christmas / my birthday. She got me this beautiful book. And like I said, I'm not a sock knitter, but I would totally try any of these. They're really, really pretty. Hold on, let me find one. I mean, how do you choose? These cute black socks. I don't want to show the pattern part of it. And then there's a glare. Well, isn't that fabulous? But so there's colorwork socks, but then there's also lace socks. So this bear's cute. And the good thing is that, so the color charts are in here. I could, since I'm not really a sock knitter, look at these. I like that. So I'm not really a sock knitter. I can take the chart and put the motif on something else that's my own. So do it in a cowl or a hat or a sweater, or, you know, the list goes on. And then she also made me this sweet headband. And this yarn is so soft. And when I saw that button, I audibly gasped. I went, oh, look how fancy and beautiful that is. And it's just so funny because then I made this blue hat and I was like, oh, we got Cinderella vibes all over the place. So I love this. And our weather here in Kentucky doesn't get too extreme. It kind of stays pretty mild. I mean, we're originally from Missouri, and so, you know, having been born and raised there, we're so used to that kind of a weather that coming here, I'm like, this is pretty nice. So the fact that this isn't too heavy and it's not too wide, it is actually, I think, going to work out just lovely. Okay, then I have decided that I want to make a project bag for myself. I know that I could just buy one because there are people that already make it, but being a maker, I want to make it myself. So I have some interfacing that I ordered, and I went ahead and bought a bundle of 10 bajillion zippers. So I always have zippers. And then I decided I wanted, oh, there's a rubber band still on here, that I wanted some chalk to mark things instead of just a pencil. So I'm super excited. I have drawn out a rough idea of what I want and some of the measurements. I need to go back and look at it again and figure out, is that the plan that I want? Do I need to make any changes? I still have quite a bit of material left over from my grandpa's overalls, from the pillows that I made at Christmas time for my parents, and then I also ended up making a pillow for my brother. And I still have enough left that I could use the pockets of the overalls in my bag. But like I said, I kind of need to go back and look at what I'm wanting and if that fits the description. I mean, those overalls are really precious. I can't get more of my grandpa's overalls. That's all I have. So I don't know. I have a lot of thinking and planning to do for that. The last thing that I'm going to share with you as far as acquisitions is my new Notions case. So I was watching a video of somebody talking about their bullet journal and their supplies for the bullet journal. And this was the case that she used to hold all of her pens. And I had decided that I kind of wanted something that I could just flip open, but could hold everything that I needed to. And this fit the bill. So this is from, I believe it's pronounced Angoo, A-N-G-O-O is the brand, Angoo. And we have a front pocket, so I'll stick a pen, and there's usually a pencil in there. It's not in there right now because it's downstairs. And it has two zippers on the side. This yellow zipper is actually what helps the case expand. So you can save space or open it up all the way. And then this white zipper is what you use to open it up. So then it lays flat. So when you open it up on the cover, there's a zipper, and this is where I have crochet hooks, DPNs, and cable needles, and some tapestry needles too. So anything needly is in the zipper pouch. And then in my pocket pouch, there's a couple of pencils, paper clip if I need it, my scissors, and a couple of erasers because my pencil top erasers are always the first to go. And then I can flip this over, and this section is deeper so it can hold all of my stuff. So my measuring tape, washi tape for charts, stitch markers. I have sticky notes, scrap waste yarn, a tiny notebook. It just kind of holds everything else, and it lays flat. So if I just move that over, I can see everything. I don't have to dig for anything. I can see exactly where it is, which is perfectly what I wanted. And if I remember right, this wasn't very expensive. Maybe, I don't remember. We're gonna say maybe like $15. I'll put a link to it. So anything acquisitions that I have acquired, I will put a link to that in case it's something that you would be interested in. But no pressure. My only recommendation is to get what you need first. Okay, so if you don't need one of these, then don't get it. But if you've been looking for something like that, then I would recommend it. And it says, be young, be unique, special. You're one in a million. Who doesn't want to be told that? Okay. I think that's everything. FOs, whips, things that I've acquired. Oh, I did want to mention some makers that have kind of inspired me for this month. This month was a tough month, but I have been loving Meanwhile at the Castle with Deborah and Emily, just for their things that they make and their outlook on life and how much they love and respect each other. I have really been enjoying their podcast, and I've also been loving Taylor from Fiber for the People. Just the colors that she chooses and everything like that. Oh, he's back. What do you need this time, Bubbers? You like Cheerios, eh?
No, I told you.
You like the Cheerios? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to tell him no more Cheerios, and you don't want to hear what that's gonna sound like. So I will catch you next month.